October 25th, 2026. That's this year! Autumn. 2 p.m. 20 days since the accident. The last few weeks have been packed to the rafters to attend a preliminary hearing. Like a trial, but one of the first things to happen before the main event, so to speak. I will be going to therapy for the next month. All until I can go to the next trial, which will be my sentence hearing. I'm on probation and could imprison the charges, but he did file a counter-suit against Oliver. I'll be happy to see the police officer every day. I'll have to see police officer every day, and that was Eric, who agreed that he would take me to therapy sessions so he could write everything down to show the judge at the upcoming trial. I feel like you could just ask your fucking therapist for a write-out. You can't take a fucking random cop to your therapy sessions like that. It's not how that works. I mean, it might, but that's so weird. My first day of therapy was interesting, to say the least, and hard. After all, I spent most of my life talking to, like, one teacher, and I don't like talking to people or talking about my feelings. Like, man, guy's got his work cut out for him. My therapist was an Allosaurus. Don't be racist, Olivia. Megan Thompson was a professional on a job. She gave me a little tape. Man, go. That's just marketing, man. Go to my other therapies. She seemed nice. Eric didn't tell me practically anything about Inco, except that he only told me he was improving. Why this? Why not just accept that he was improving? As for the outreach program, you went there and talked about your problems in a circle full of strangers, at least at first. I was the new one there, so everyone introduced themselves formally and talked about their problems. I didn't say much, I just listened. Going to my therapist, that was normal. And as I got to know people, I would start to let go more and more. I would start to show up in sweatpants. I would already do that. The next few times I went, I realized how fucking messed up I'd been. Listen, you know how I often say don't have your characters go to therapy? This is what I mean with don't have your characters go to fucking therapy, man. Olivia's entire problem is that she's a shit person. You can't fix that with therapy. That's not a story. That's not a book you wrote. That's an autobiography at best. Right? Like an autobiography, that's fine. You can't do that in a story. You've just killed your drama. I definitely had anger issues along with somewhat manipulative behavior. I remember the times I would threaten Inco without even thinking about it. I would only let it out when I felt betrayed. I like how you talk about this with strangers so openly. It's been like a few weeks and you're just suddenly telling strangers, by the way, I threatened to beat my husband. When he didn't support me in something, I would pull my teeth out of him. I would pull my teeth out on him. I would have felt more upset than I should have. Perhaps if I had accepted some things he had told me, none of this would have happened. I tried not to feel ashamed as I thought about what a shitty partner I had been. Oh, he tried his best to support me as much as possible. I think people need to remember that Inco in Ending 2 is still an idiot. Like, Inco is still screwing up. He is not doing the right thing. And I treat him like a bag of trash. I returned to work after weeks of not doing so. And I agreed to more interviews with that interviewer heel. I told about my problems and life with the chair, my condition. Wait. Are we talking about a different interview that came up in this? I think so. But it also kind of just makes me think of Ending 2's interviewer who oh my god. Man, this story is like backtracking on Olivia's actual character. Pause. I was entirely convinced either way. And I didn't want to be known as Olivia the Crippled Painter. No one's going to call you that specifically. Make it a reasonable one. Call yourself the Brave Painter, you know, with the snarky way. But I had to do it, except when Encode recommended to me. We did some activities sometimes in those programs to do ourselves as we saw ourselves. Which, admittedly, in my case, meant I just spent an hour screwing around and getting mad at my sketches. Our drawings were stored and folded, and sometimes later we'd come back to do another one to see what had changed. Some kind of psychological thing. It is! Because of my drawing history done there, some had idolized me, which filled me with confidence. I like to imagine that, yeah, they probably would. These people are like idiots, and you're making it very difficult for them. Although deep down I felt the same way I always felt when people thought something felt my grief. Good grief. Damien was also going to therapy with Liz. She didn't want her future husband to look bad in the photos of her upcoming wedding. I was a little envious of them, but that doesn't mean that I'm not happy that they are a happy couple. It's right about Damien, though. This is what happened. He's not the guy he used to be. The charisma, the goofiness, the smiling. No, whenever he came by my house, he just stared at his plate in silence and tried to avoid me. When I confronted him about it, he kept asking me for forgiveness. I'm almost got down on his knees. He had a huge weight on his chest. I think on his shoulders at this point. He's not able to get off his chest. Jesus, you can't just on his chest, off his chest. On, off. Wax on, wax off. This man's chest is flawless with therapy. This is a matter between me and Inko. He felt guilty. Yes, because he keeps asking for forgiveness. He felt guilty about everything that happened. I like how we're in chapter 3, man. You don't have to reiterate what happened. We know. You felt guilty. Like, I haven't read this in like 2 weeks, and I've been moving on and tried to forget this stuff, and I still remember what happened. You felt guilty about having fought Inko that summer. Why can't you just focus on, like, the one detail that matters? Like, say you can rephrase this, right, and add some context to make it feel like Olivia's thinking about stuff. Like, he still felt guilty about what he did that summer is way better. It gives Olivia some character. It makes Damien's guilt, like, you can remind the audience without it feeling like you're just reminding the audience. It feels like Olivia's having a new opinion about something. He felt guilty about slowly pushing him aside. He missed their late-night get-togethers for juice and pizza. They were drinking beer, Olivia. It was a quiet moment where they could talk about their lives. And according to him, he screwed it up. He didn't know what things had been improving the last few days with Inko's. At first, I tried to support him. Jesus Christ, what does that mean? I tried to keep him from feeling bad, to show him that we were all partly to blame for what had happened. But Inko planned to propose to me that same... Jesus fucking Christ, what is this? Where are we... What time is it? In front of the family, the summer days where our relationship took the next step when we were in our last year of high school. What? So you let it take that step, a step that terrified him. Wait, are we implying that ending 2 takes place like way after high school? And you mean to tell me that, like, this is not canon, and I feel like if you're gonna do stuff like this, you really should include that in your prologue. That's when everything started to spill over, and at the climax, Damien threw the ring away. Wait, what? Wait. So Inko showed up in the summer of 2022, 3, whatever. I think 3 because the 3 years apart, right? 2024. No, 2024 because it's a year later. Actually, that means that Inko and Anna are actually 4 years apart because Anna will be the year of 2024 and Inko would be the guy of 2024 and Anna will be 2020. So they're 4 years apart. So really, school years are weird, man. But, so the year of 2024, Inko proposes and Damien is like, fuck this ring. What? This feels like something you should have brought up earlier. While Damien was crying and consoled over man's silence, I know what to describe. I imagine how much things changed if Damien just kept quiet. I think he needed to prove that was for sure. But we were really on the verge of being able to start the new stage in our relationship. Not something as stupid as a kiss and a hug, our relationship was starting to improve. What the hell is happening? I need a break. Let me be specific. I feel like I need to just drink a whole jar of vinegar. How about that? Where were we? Oh, whoops. October 25th, so it's been 5 days. Oh no, it's the same day. We just spent 4 hours reminiscing. One is this instant. Oh, we're in Inko. That's why we're switching. Why did Olivia's time matter at all? Like, all that mattered is that it's been a while. You know? All hands, a beautiful gentle dance. We're sitting in a wheelchair wearing the most beautiful wedding dress I'd ever seen. I was totally enthralled into her. Are they getting married? What? So, it's been 2 years since you hooked up, I guess. So you're like 20, 21. So yeah, they'd probably be drinking juice because the age of drinking in America is 21, I think. So it would be juice. But... what time is it? As I'm trying a gentle dance, you're sitting in a wheelchair wearing those beautiful wedding dresses I've seen. I was staring totally enthralled through gray eyes. Keep your eyes on me. I don't like how this guy uses his characters are actually dreaming about things. It's so confusing. Like, it's not interesting, disorienting, or like, it's just like, what? When do we get here? What time is it? Open my eyes, stared at the ceiling. I should start thinking about it. I've been here for 3 weeks almost. How would you... Man, I can't keep track of time. I mean, admittedly, I've heard that in hospitals you can lose track of time, especially if you're just stuck. I looked down at my hand, now wrapped in a rigid brace. I'd recently had surgery where the doctors had to reattach the broken bone fragments in my wrist with metal plates and screws. They explained it was the only way to stabilize everything. Frustration and hope remix. Every time I try to move my fingers slightly. It hurts as if I just had to put back together again. Rehabilitation will be long and painful, I know. I'm not sure I'll be able to regain full functionality, but I'll do whatever it takes. I am able to speak more often and without problems, and they've been reducing the intensity of the respiratory support. It's a brief sometimes, but the medication kept me pain-free. When it did hurt, my lungs felt like I was drowning in boiling oil. Compared to my first few hours, it was a big change. All blood was running through my veins, and I wanted to escape. It's a great way to put it, actually. Officer Eric was talking to his son outside. They were arguing. Dad, I want to see the mummy man! You know, like a common thing. We called him to ask him how he was, and they would argue until one of them hung up. Oh, he's on his phone. Could you clarify that before I assumed that there's a fucking unrelated human child over there? Who's this sassy lost child? I say to my world, I thought about everything, thought to myself. I don't think about her. The voice of Dr. Marcus, my doctor. You know, doctor, my doctor. Oh, doctor, my doctor. Caught my attention, making the stegosaurus look through huge circular glasses. He sat down on one of the chairs that had been prepared in advance for previous visits. Hold on, we need to go back to hospital grounds, actually. I've come to give you a report of your condition, Mr. Dito. The doctor began to flip through the pages of his clipboard before beginning to speak. Saying that, I silently agreed for him to continue. I like how he has to begin to speak when he started the fucking conversation already. First things first, your lungs show sign of improvement. They shouldn't collapse any further. That's good. And he just taps him on the chest with the pen, and he feels his lungs collapse. Oh, whoops. See, that's what I'm talking about. So we can eliminate that risk for future problems. Ribs don't seem to be bothering him. Who's him? You're talking to the man. Ribs don't seem to be bothering... What? What? Ribs don't seem to be bothering you much. Since those plates are screwed. I'm starting to breathe. That's probably why, but it doesn't seem like there's any aggravating problems. Your arm surgery success, at least. But that doesn't mean you'll be able to juggle with your arm after you get out of here. You need to go through a lot of recovery and sorcery before your arm can be useful again. My brain auto-corrected recovery to sorcery, and I was like, fuck it, we'll use them both. Next week, we'll be able to take the bandage off your face so we can see your eye and head. I mean, honestly, it's impressive we kept that on for 3 weeks. That shit's fucking grungy, man. Honestly, you do know that they replace bandages? Like, especially if it's bleeding, or infected, or, like, unknown condition. Doctors don't just leave that shit under there for a while. If only because of infections, and, like, that shit gets nasty. Well, we'll need to see how much vision you've lost before it can begin rehabilitation. Speaking of your head, news of a head contusion. Like, so it's Eric. Eric sits down, it's like, the only contusion I got is my son. Dr. Marcus put down the clipboard and stared at me. He had it memorized. You have a trauma on the right side of your skull. This is the type of brain injury that causes damage that will impair some of your functions. I like how he says affect some of your brain functions. Affect and function, no. But also, just say it impairs. That's way more doctory. I arched an eyebrow as I brought my hand to my bandaged head. But I feel fine taking this off. How they affect your personality? You can be laughing with joy with seconds and... Well, they'll be crying with a real long why. Dreams that change lanes every second, memories that I've never... I'm pretty sure doctors don't have the capacity to predict that's gonna happen, though. Like, the whole point of most brain injuries is that doctors are like, I don't fucking know what's gonna happen, dude. It's gonna suck. Like, it's in this region, so usually that means your left arm, but, like, if your left toe starts doing funny business, you gotta tell us. Also, if your right arm starts doing stuff, you really need to come back to us, because that's not how your brain works. That is not how brain halves are supposed to function. We gotta figure that out, buddy. Luckily, in principle, none of this is permanent. Almost right in each case is unique, Mr. Leader. I can't pass anything. Neuroplasticity is pretty high, although you're such a fucking loser and a square and a simp. We can't guarantee anything. I fell silent as I stared at the ceiling. I was fed up with this condition. I'm fed up with this world. Dreaming about Olivia, dreaming about things that haven't happened, and forgetting so many others. Just wanted it to end. Well, let's... How much longer? Oh, whatever. I let out a sigh as I looked somewhere else. The window. The day was cloudy, nothing new. Well, Caldera was a place. I took the weather seriously. In winter, it snowed every day. You mean to say that it's a weather of extremes? In autumn, it rained. In summer, it burned my skin. In spring, nothing in spring, actually. I like spring. I can't burn my balls. I feel like Inko would just say that that he doesn't get burns on his head. Not bald. He wouldn't talk about it like that. He seems too self-conscious about it. Or unaware is another way to put it. The dreams why I appeared falling were frequent. That's just the vertigo you have from brain damage. But Olivia seemed to be in many of them. Dreams that feel like past moments that never happened. I'm surprised you're not dreaming more of her tearing you to pieces, considering that your brain is unstable. I dreamt. I'm pretty sure it's dreamt with a T, right? It could be either, really. Also, could it be dreamed? I always told us dreamt. I dreamt that it was winter of my senior year. She was beautiful like a queen. That's you simping. I dreamt that I was on pushing Olivia down the stairs. I dreamt I was on falling down those stairs. What, you mean in ending one? Inko, stop worrying about alternate dimensions. Sometimes I would wake up in a sheer panic after falling again. Yeah, that's feeling how you fall in your dreams and you wake up. I would pound like never before. That feeling would stay. It seemed like hours as I fell into the abyss, unable to wake up. I've had that before, but I just wake up and I'm like, oh. Okay. My brain is immediately like, sorry, buddy. Didn't mean to do that. Actually, I had one, right, where I woke up and I was like, I had this strong feeling something was about to go wrong. And I just had to pace around the place until I felt comfortable again. Sometimes I felt no attachment to life, and other times I cried unconsolably for having miraculously survived. I remember the scene of my fall and the sheer terror in Olivia's face. Eric's voice caught my attention and I looked at him. Probably because no one else said. The doctor had left me without noticing. Your fucking doctor sees you in like a comatose condition and just leaves without at least going, okay, you right, buddy? You have brain damage. No doctor's just gonna leave you sitting there in a stasis. I don't know what the trial means. The trial's gonna be the trial's getting postponed. The court's putting a little pressure on me for... Eric, you don't go over that. That's not for you. They don't ask a cop about medical situations. They would ask the doctor, like, hey, doctor, when can you show up? Maybe you'd be like an intermediary, but I don't think you have the authority to make any decisions in this way. Like Eric doesn't feel like an officer. He feels like a detective. And I should tell you, officers are not detectives. They're not the same person. They're not the same job. And there's a reason for that. He's not a beat cop. I frowned as the trial's happening again. I forgot about this sort of thing. She was relatively simple. Thought otherwise I could get away with it. Olivia Oliver Hargrove. Jesus Christ, why did you give them such similar names? Son of Senator Jonathan Hargrove, high-class brat who was hand-fed. You mean fed with a silver spoon? Hand-fed with a silver spoon is such a slappy way of saying it. That explains how weak he was. It was not streetwise. Eric, who said what? Did the cop say that? Between you and me, kid, I know fucked up the world of politics. As many upper classes are rotten inside will do anything to have power. It's more that I feel like Oliver's situation is a lot more that he just feels like he should be allowed to get away with everything because his dad's rich. More than that he is inherently looking for power or evil. He's just an asshole. Like, he wasn't looking... Like, he's making a situation worse, but Inko did start it, right? Like, Inko caused this. He's just making the best of a bad situation, all things considered. I wouldn't call that evil. I think evil is you have to go outside of a certain boundary, and otherwise you're just an asshole. Like, inside, you're an asshole. Outside, you're going places, buddy. You were lucky to be daddy's son. Although I think he does it out of mere pride. But the boss was supposed to be just a banner interview. Yes. He's just a... What? Oh, so he's an... What? Alfred didn't tell me. She couldn't care less whose father it was. I love how the writing is now officially to the point where I'm losing what they're actually talking about. I think even the horrors want it. What? Okay, if you officially lost me, I need a moment to clear my cookies and my cache.